And then we finally get to the Copy X boss fight, which is...
Finally! He's actually reviewing Mega Man Zero! What the hell is this? Put Zero back on. That's it, I'm going back to watching Season 1 Side Quest Gamer on repeat.
Don't touch that remote. I know it's heartbreaking to have your favorite shows preempted, but look what you're getting instead. Me! And a whole truckload of mindless violence and wanton property damage. Everything that makes TV great. So stay tuned. You won't believe your eyes.
So you guys don't really have a problem with that opening gag, right?
Oh, actually I do. Kill him!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to do some more DCAU videos in the near future, so I figured I would make a frequently asked questions video. Since I know a lot of people might not be familiar with what the DCAU is when it comes to my subscriber base, so I brought my good old friend Innocent Christoph Gavin, who's relatively insignificant, or not insignificant, that's not the word I was looking for, not unfamiliar with the DC animated universe, so I figured I'd have him introduce himself and his exposure to it.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, I'm Innocent Chris Gavin. I have been exposed to Batman the Animated Series. I've seen a few episodes way back when I was much younger. And I always had an interest in going back and seeing it, so I've been kind of experiencing the series through Jay's reviews, actually. And I plan on watching them on my own in the future. So
yeah.
I don't know much about the DCAU in the greater context. I don't think many of you might have as well. If you're clicking on this video and you're not familiar with the DCAU, we'll be able to help you basically just understand that, right, Jay?
Yeah, so we got some basic questions here that are like something I feel like a lot of people would want to know the answers to. So just Gavin, since he is unfamiliar with it, have him ask the questions, and I'll provide the best answer I can for anybody who's not familiar with it and wants to know more. So shall we begin?
Yes. All right, Jay. So the first question is, what is the DCAU?
Well, that was a acronym that was created a few years ago. If anyone's familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Captain America, all those, when they come together, they make the Avengers, and this shared universe of Marvel movies. Basically, everyone's familiar with those because it's quite the pop culture icon now. I never thought that would happen, but still, the DC Animated Universe, that's what it stands for, DC Animated Universe, similar vein. It's got other fan names, like the Tim Universe, because it was like created by Bruce Timm. He had a hand in most of the shows, so that's what it is. DC Animated Universe. Shared continuity between a few shows.
All right, Jay. Now, what does it consist of?
Well, it began in 1992 with Batman the Animated Series, what was supposed to be a tie-in to the Burton movies, but grabbed its own identity right off the bat. And then that went off the air in 95, and then 96 they began Superman the Animated Series, which in a few episodes of Batman they had a few other DC Comics characters like Zatanna or Jonah Hex. But in Superman, we got Superman, they reference Batman, and they show us like the Flash and the Green Lantern Corps, and then we got the Batman and Superman crossover. So it shows, okay, this is a shared universe, and then Batman comes back for the new Batman Adventures, which is the 4th season of Batman the Animated Series, but it also has the other acronym, or other name, I should say. They also made Justice League. That was basically like the Avengers of it, you know, 4 seasons of just these superheroes coming together, and we'll talk about that when I review it in more detail. And then there's also Batman Beyond, which is a show they're entirely their own idea, because they were tasked with making a show about a younger Batman, so they decided to have it set in the future with an older Bruce Wayne and a younger Batman. So that's that. And other than that, there is the Zeta Project. That is a Batman Beyond spin-off, and I could talk more about that in a bit. And Static Shock, that's another show that they added in. In terms of movies, I was just going to say that there's also 4 movies. Batman Mask of Phantasm, Batman Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, and Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. So that's what it consists of right there.
All right, so there are a lot of different shows that take place with... So, because you're abbreviating with the acronyms, could you explain what each of the acronyms stand for?
Sure. BTAS, like I always say BTAS, so that means Batman the Animated Series, pretty simple. And then, of course, STAS obviously means Superman the Animated Series. TNBA, The New Batman Adventures, and I usually, I kind of switch between acronyms for Justice League, and sometimes I'll say JL, sometimes I'll just say Justice League, but JLU, Justice League Unlimited, because they renamed it to that for the last 2 seasons. But for some reason, with Batman Beyond, I'm probably not going to abbreviate that one, because it's 2 words, so... Anyway, that's basically it for that one. This is just to keep in mind, that's for reference, so now I won't have to explain it in every video. So yeah, TNBA, The New Batman Adventures, BTAS, STAS, Batman, and Superman, the animated series.
Awesome. Okay, so do the DC Comics cartoons like Teen Titans or The Batman, do they count as a part of the DCAU?
This is another frequently asked question because, Teen Titans aired at the same time as Justice League, and a lot of people thought it was the same. But for many, many, many reasons. It's not just a DC cartoons thing. It was specifically shows done by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, Dwayne McDuffie, etc. It's specifically for that. And Teen Titans, well, sure, Glenn Murakami created the Teen Titans cartoon. His name is in the credits of a lot of Justice League episodes. They are not connected because there's a lot of just continuity problems and animation differences if they was the same thing. And the Batman, I put that in for example because that's like a DC cartoon, but it's a DCAU cartoon. No, it is not. I could spend all day ranting about Teen Titans being in the DCAU because people still think that's the case, but we'll save it for JLU when I give a long rant as to why it could not be.
Okay, so, do the tie-in games count? So things like, I don't know, the DCAU game or Justice League the game,
yeah,
do they count as a part of the universe?
The thing is, there's another thing I can add, is that there's comic books, like, the Batman Adventures or the Superman Adventures. There's comic books based on these shows, and of course, there's games as well. Like, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on SNES, or Superman 64 even, or Justice League on GBA. There's a lot of games based on the DCAU, and the thing is, it's not that they're, aren't canon. If they tell their own story, like Batman Rise of Sinzu, that's its own story. Whereas, Batman on SNES is, just an adaptation of episodes. So it's just, They count, question mark, but you'll see articles about them on the DCAU wiki, but it's not like they're really important or need to be seen in order to understand the larger context, because they'll never be referenced in any DCAU show, is what matters the most. Gotcha.
So, when you're reviewing the DCAU, Jay, it can be very confusing to an outsider what counts, obviously, as a part of the DCAU. And a part of that, I have this more of a personal question here. So what about video games like Batman Arkham Asylum that are not a tie-in to anything specifically, but probably could canonically take place in the DCAU realm? So do games like Batman Arkham Asylum count?
Well, actually, what's great about Arkham Asylum is that it has Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill as Batman and Joker, so it feels like an episode, and it was also written by Paul Dini, who wrote many episodes. So it feels like BTAS, which was probably a marketing, which one they put on the back of the box, but it's it's not necessarily canon because thanks to Arkham City, because Arkham Asylum could very well be just another DCAU storyline, but it's Arkham, well, other than character differences that are here and there, but Arkham City had events like the Joker's death, which establishes it as its own universe. So the Arkham universe is its own, but just feels very DCAU-esque.
Gotcha. So unfortunately, if you're looking forward to game reviews of the Arkham games, they're not a part of the DCAU, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah, but it might happen one day.
Perhaps. All right, so the next question is, where can I find the DCAU?
Well, recently the DCAU has made kind of a resurgence, because or resurgence rather. It's Mask of the Phantasm came out on Blu-ray a few months ago, and BTAS is getting a Blu-ray release sometime later this year, which I'm looking forward to. But as it stands right now, I'm looking at how BTAS, STAS, Justice League, Batman Beyond, every season of those is on DVD on Amazon for $20 or less each, $15, $20 each. So I recommend that as a way to get into it if you want to have a physical collection of it. Another way, Amazon Instant Video and iTunes. I'm pretty sure all the seasons and episodes are on those as well. And Justice League as well is also on Netflix, I believe. So there's that.
So it's very accessible, really.
Yes, it is. And Justice League is also on Blu-ray, as a matter of fact. I just need the STAS and Batman Beyond. I just need those Blu-rays in my life, and then I'll be complete.
There we go. All right, now this is a critical question I think everyone... Jay,
What
will the DCAU retrospective cover and in what order?
So, as we've already seen, we've done BTAS seasons 1 and 2 and Mask of the Phantasm. It gets kind of complicated after that, so I'm going to be doing every season of BTAS, every BTAS movie, and then after that I'm doing all seasons of Superman the Animated Series, then all seasons of Justice League, then all seasons of Batman Beyond, with the last one being my review of Return of the Joker. You could ask why not review Static Shock or the Zeta Project, and I actually have an answer for that. Well, there's just not really interested. I mean, that what it really boils down to, but another thing is, like, the Zeta Project ends on a cliffhanger that's never resolved, and it's the last thing chronologically, so we can safely ignore it. It's just like, I don't know, I'm not interested in that one. And then when it comes down to Static Shock, only half of the series has been released on DVD. So...
Yikes.
Can't exactly... I would never review something that's not finished. That's that, but it just comes down to not being really interested, and another thing is, like, it just kind of feels... Those two, like, really feel stylistically, in, like, terms of storytelling, it just feels different than DCAU, because, like, you know, Bruce Timm wasn't heavily involved in either one. So, yeah, that's why I'm leaving those two out, but, yeah, we're covering BTAS, STAS, Justice League, Batman Beyond, everything related to those.
Now, if I could actually throw in a personal question, Jay, if you mind.
Sure.
So, how long do you think it'll take you to get through Retrospective? If, obviously, we're assuming you're going to do things in between to break it up. How long, just in general, like, what year even do you think you'll be done?
My current projection is probably 2019, because...
That's soon. I'm actually surprised by that.
If we're looking at this year we're going to be done with BTAS and STAS. That's my promise. But, of course, Justice League, the 4 seasons of Justice League is going to be big for me, but I think we can get that done, and the 3 seasons of Batman Beyond, as well as the movie for that. I believe it can be done, but that's my current projection. That's my thought. 2019 is probably when it'll be finished. It won't be like the X Retrospective, which was a good 6 months. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, why review in that order, as opposed to release date order?
I was thinking about this, because, like, you know, like I said, Batman Season 3 ends, and we get Superman then starts after that, and then it would, like, I just thought it would be too confusing. Here's the thing. Like, think of it like this. It would be Batman Season 1, 2, Mask of the Phantasm, 3, then Superman Season 1, then Batman Season 4, then Superman Season 2, then Batman Sub-Zero, then Superman Season 3, then Batman Beyond Seasons 1, 2, 3, then Justice League. It's like, that's the release date order. So I thought it would just make more sense. We do all things BTAS, all things STAS, and then chronologically, Justice League comes next. So all things Justice League, then chronologically Batman Beyond is next, all things that, as opposed to Batman Beyond before JL, which it technically was released before. I thought it would just make more sense to be less convoluted.
Gotcha. All right, and our final question, frequently asked question, why review the DCAU, Jay?
Yeah, and I thought this was a good question, because, like, you know, there's lots of things out there to review, lots of movies to review out there. So why do this? Well, it's frankly, it just kind of means something. It just means a lot to me. It's like, I remember when I was a kid, I watched Justice League religiously, had a bunch of action figures of it, and so on and so forth. And while I didn't know it was connected, I had, like, seen reruns of the new Batman Adventures and, like, Superman the Animated Series. It just... I was always inspired by these versions of the characters, and when I found they were connected, I just had to, like, consume all the media related to it. And it's just, I find the things that this team accomplished to be something worth noting, because, like, I feel as if this is, like, the original shared universe. You know, Marvel really, like did something with their on-screen adaptations, but this is also, like, 10 years plus of TV, all connected, where they cared about the continuity and, like, showed, and, like, lots of references and callbacks and stuff. It's just... And, like, look at BTAS. Like I said earlier, BTAS was supposed to be a like, tie-in to the Tim Burton movies. It could have been, like, you know, kids' fodder crap. It really could have been. But they decided to do something special with it and make it stand out on its own. And now, 25 years later, BTAS is remembered more fondly than the Tim Burton's movies are. And then, like, look at STAS. It's like, Superman is a hard character to write for. I don't know, like, that's just my opinion. But it's like, the Superman, you know, he's basically invincible, so how do you make engaging stories out of him? It's more difficult than it would be for Batman, and they did it, and they made a Superman show that really stands out. Batman Beyond, that could have been kids' fodder as well, because they were mandated by the studio to make a teenage Batman, so they could have just made it really bad and easy, like, really to do. But they made new villains, they made new characters, and just to make it stand out on its own, and just actually make it really good on its own merits and make it something that would actually be well written. And lastly, with Justice League, it's like, that's 7 characters to balance. Like, how do you do that? It's like, then they found a way. And then with Justice League Unlimited, that's like hundreds of characters to balance and make it feel like everybody's significant in some way. But they managed to do it again. So I am always impressed by their work. That's basically my big part of it is like I'm impressed by what they managed to do, and I think that is why I review it. It was a part of my childhood, so I wanted to talk about it to a large extent. So yeah, that's why I'm reviewing the DC animated universe.
Awesome.
All right then. So I think that's just about it for this video. I think that identifies what it is, what I'm doing, etc. It's also going to be the head of the playlist, so that's why I put the acronyms in there, because it's like a Bible, like an encyclopedia to reference back to if people are rusty or something like that. So that's basically it for this video. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited for the DC Animated Universe retrospective. A lot of the videos this year will be from this retrospective, so I hope you guys are okay with that. Any final thoughts, Kevin?
Well, I'm excited to see the rest of the DCAU retrospective, and I'm excited to actually sit down and watch it thanks to these Blu-ray releases, because I'm also crossing my fingers for a lot of these. And hopefully they come in good numbers and they don't get scalped. That would be bad. But yeah, I'm glad we could have a nice backbone to can get caught up to date and understand what it is you're doing and why. So yeah, that's about it.
Alright guys, see you in the next video. Will be Batman the Animated Series Season 3, so I'll see you then.